Lucky we're even here, and I didn't just, destroy my computer in a fit of rage. We're lucky for that. So, yeah. Okay. Let's get to it, Schweiss.
All right, guys. As you know, today we are reviewing Trials of Mana. Trials of Mana, also known by its Japanese title, Second Densetsu 3, is a 1995 action role playing game developed and published by Square. It is a sequel to the 1993 game Secret of Mana, and it's the third in the Mana series. They actually wanted to call it, and in some places they did call it Secret of Mana 2, which is really weird, and it makes this series even more of a skullfuck when it comes to the naming. Because if you'll remember, the first one, Final Fantasy Adventure, was also it's first off, it's called Final Fantasy Adventure and not Mana. Secondly, in like the UK, I'm pretty sure it's called
I
uh
think it's Mystic Quest. We might have
it
that one
is
mixed up, but I think it's Mystic Quest.
it's Mystic Quest. So in in the spirit of confusing the fuck out of everybody, some people refer to this as Secret of Mana 2 as a direct sequel to that, as opposed to the third Mana game. But technically speaking, Mana 3.
Or Second Densetsu. Second Densetsu 3. This was the game. This very recently, up until very recently when Collection of Mana came out, this was not available in English outside of a fan translation. So we were planning on skipping this game for a very long time, and then Square Enix was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Hey, we're gonna put this game out in Collection of Mana," and then immediately put out a remake for it, right, right after the original came out. Um, and we both played it on the Switch. We did not play the remake version, because we bought the Collection of Mana thing, like I think it was sometime in between the Secret of Mana review and us finally getting back to the Mana series, that the remake came out. So we had already had the
Yeah.
game in the collectors of Mana version. So the port of the original SNES on the Switch.
Yeah.
Um, and Collection of Mana is a great buy, guys. It has the original Final Fantasy Adventure and Secret of Mana, which is a very classic SNES game. And then this game, which is considered a classic as far as I can tell from like what people say on internet forums and stuff. It seems to be that this is considered a classic in Japan, but it was just never ported over here for whatever reason. You might have information on that.
Yeah. So the remake you're referring to came out in 2020,
There you go.
and the Secret of Mana, or the Mana collection that we have on the Switch, that was 2019. So yeah, until very recently, as far as our podcast was concerned, we didn't think we were going to get to play this game, because of course we don't play fan translations. We'll read fan translations, I guess, and consider the books that are translated therein complete ass. When it comes to Turks, the kids are all right, but we will
We only
not
have
play.
one dissenting opinion on that. There's one person who has read that in our listener base that has talked to us about it. And they were like, it's all right. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not fully convinced. I'm not fully convinced.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fair. It's not like we've had a torrent of rage ever
No.
since that book came out. But yeah, it's so until very recently, this was kind of a lost game, for the West. And yeah, there's a lot of opinions. I was reading some of the reviews on it, online, and a lot of people do think this would be, considered another one of the classics, like Secret of Mana, if it would have been released to us out here.
Yeah, it's just
As
slightly. Secret of Mana is kind of considered slightly under, you know, FF6 and Chrono Trigger. It's considered one of those great SNES RPGs. Um, Now we have our opinions on that. We did those about a year ago today. I think it was last March when we played Secret of Mana. Um,
Jeez.
but yeah, um, we're now finally to its sequel, and it's interesting because this one didn't have the limitations of the last one. So Secret of Mana, when it was translated, had some like technical limitations as far as like how many words it could get out within like text and stuff like that. So it was really,
Yeah.
and they just ported that version onto the Switch. They didn't update the translation or anything like that. but this one was a brand new translation. So we got the full dealio on this one. So that's kind of like another interesting addition to our playthrough, is that we got like a pure version. We didn't get a technical limitation version. Because I
Yeah.
remember the big thing with Secret of Mana that was awkward was like right at the beginning of the game. It's like, oh, you got to set out on your quest. By the way, your parents were murdered 8 years ago. How do you feel about that? Goodbye. Like there was some line like that. It was just like one paragraph of like ass dialogue before
Yeah.
before your character had to set out. And I'm like, is this really considered a classic? But with the soundtrack and the mood of it, and
Yeah.
where RPGs were at the time, I could see Secret of Mana still being considered a classic. But I will say, spoiler alert, I think this game surpasses it in every single way.
Yeah. Soundtrack, I'm not sure, but the soundtrack in this one's great too. So yeah, I could agree with that, I suppose. So the game was designed by the series creator Koichi Ishii, and was directed by Hiromichi Tanaka. So Tanaka, as we talked about last time, has worked on several titles for Square, and he actually was a designer on the first three Final Fantasy games. And there's something really funny in the development of this thing. Apparently production began in 93, and it had a really lengthy period of trial and error where they had a ton of different prototypes for the game, and they ended up scrapping a lot of them. And part of this was because the next generation of console hardware was about to come out, and the team was unable to kind of prolong production to keep everything quiet like they did with Secret of Mana. And they also had difficulties keeping staff. And apparently, Square was just yanking staff members left and right for stuff like Chrono Trigger and Romancing Saga 3. And this is funny because Tanaka, the director, remembers fighting with Hironobu Sakaguchi for staff at Square Enix. So they had like some inner battling to get this thing done, because they kept like pulling fucking programmers off of the project.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I could see them battling it out.
Well, Hironobu's the boss.
Yeah, Hironobu obviously won, but
he became CEO of the company for a little while, so I think Hironobu probably had a little bit more sway in the hierarchy of Square Enix. But
yeah, for sure.
So this was a late SNES game? That's what that sounds like.
Yeah, 93. Yeah, it's very late. So this is kind of like the end of the road for NES. And it's one of those ones where they kind of wanted to wait for the PlayStation or just the newer gen for the tech, but they had to get it done. And I think these are some of the best games on consoles, like the ones that are released at the very end.
That's true,
because they get to really play around with like just everything the console can handle.
They know what the console's limitations are because they've been working on games for 4 or 5 years. As a company. So yeah.
And like I said earlier, they were planning on making this a continuation of Secret of Mana, but they ended up scrapping all of that, and starting Trials of Mana from scratch. And they with the goal of making it a more action-oriented title, which I think they certainly succeeded in. They wanted to get as close as they could to 3D graphics, and they wanted to create like a bunch of different graphical layers. And I can really see that. And I know we're playing like the Switch version of it, but it seems to be a pretty pure port of the original. And this game definitely looks better than Secret of Mana did.
It does. It really, color palette wise, it looks beautiful, and the layouts are wonderful. I guess I can't really tell the technical aspects of it, but it does seem like maybe about 10-20% better.
Yeah. So they ended up keeping a couple monster designs from the previous game, so not everything was completely cut out. And this is yet another game where Square pretty much pushed the cartridge to capacity. And they ended up actually having to cut a final boss out that was supposed to be in the volcano dungeon that they had planned on from the very beginning, but they ran out of time in the end and just cut it off.
So instead they gave us 3 different final bosses.
Yeah.
Yeah. We ran out of time, so we figured you could have 6 different game variants instead of our final boss.
Seriously. So the theme of the game was supposed to be independence, according to Ishii, and he said he wanted the characters to have some sort of camaraderie through sharing each other's problems, which is kind of interesting. I mean, this game, the first thing I noticed about it is I was like, oh, I picked this character and this character and this character. You pick three of six characters, and right off the bat, I decided, I'm not going to go with the warrior guy, and then I randomly picked the thief, and then I picked the warrior randomly, and then I picked the girl who's also physical damage, which really sucked for me because I had almost no magic.
I had zero magic. I
Yeah.
had zero. I picked Duran, and I picked I picked Hawkeye, which is the thief, and I picked Kevin, which was the beat stick werewolf guy. None of them have any curative magic whatsoever. Zero.
Same.
Zero. Oh.
I did Duran, Hawkeye, and Rise, and they're all physical.
Oh shit.
The closest thing I had was Duran's like moon saber ability that let me siphon health every time I hit. That was the closest thing to a heal I had, and chocolate bars, and fucking honey pots and candy. That's it, dude. It was fucking brutal.
You gotta get your chocolate, you gotta get your honey pots and your candy, or else you can't fucking go outside, bro.
Yeah, seriously. It's like it's just too dangerous out there without your candy, kids. The lesson of this game. You want to go play outside, you're gonna have to bring some candies in case you get your ass kicked by a fucking blue blob that turns into whatever the fuck it wants to at the end. Or those tomato fuckers, those floating tomato guys that cure themselves over and over and over again, and you have to like pray to God you can kill them in time, which you really can't. Yeah, that's the moral of this story.
I had Living Daylights, the song, stuck in my head because of Duran's name for basically the whole fucking game. So thanks, Duran.
Yeah.
And thanks for, by the way, you didn't pick Kevin, but I also, every time I was in the game and like Kevin was part of the story, I'm like, his fucking name is Kevin. Like, this is a fantasy. This is a deep fantasy game with like magic fairies and crystals and world-ending bullshit with dragons. And the guy's name, a werewolf's name, is Kevin.
Yeah,
which I thought was hilarious. Oh man, Hawkeye made more sense than anything. It's like Hawkeye can exist in this world. He's a thief. He's Hawkeye, brah.
Yeah, Kevin sounds awesome.
Kevin, the werewolf? Fuck.
They gave him a superhuman name so that he would choose his human side. He would adopt only the humanity and not the beast man. Jesus.
Kevin's the name of an office worker. Kevin's not the name of a werewolf.
Yeah, Team Kevin. What would the vampire be like? Andrew? Team Andrew, Team Kevin.
Pick the least fantasy-esque names you can think of. And Kevin is definitely on there. Someone in the chat just said Jerry. Jerry would definitely be
yeah.
About on the same level as Kevin.
Jerry the vampire. In this Twilight verse. Yeah, Team Jerry, Team Kevin.
Yeah, so I really just picked the top 3 characters on the menu. I was like, yeah, let's start this game. Like me and my like groggy, like, fuck it. Like old man Joe, doesn't care about the series anymore, according to reviews that I've seen on iTunes of our show. And and I was just like, I'll just pick the top 3. Duran, Hawkeye, and Kevin. But Kevin's actually fucking, dude. Kevin does some serious fucking damage. Duran does a lot of damage too, as long as I'm not playing Duran. Duran is a much better player when I am not controlling him. So I controlled Hawkeye most of the time in the second half of the game when I realized how much better Duran was when I wasn't playing him.
Same.
Yeah, exactly. So we had a similar experience there. Sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, they just really wanted to work on having multiple characters and like having them kind of come together in various ways and kind of help each other out. So it's funny that the theme was supposed to be independence, but really it's kind of like it's kind of like a deeper meaning of independence, where it's not just sort of do what you want, you're free to do whatever. It's like you're free to do whatever, but you have to work with these other people to get the actual goal done, kind of a thing. So like it's a little more than that. So they created a bunch of different characters. Of course, we only had one varying character, but I saw Kevin's story anyway, so um, I guess I don't know if it really matters because
Yeah, there are only
it,
like a couple scenes, and that was basically the same for all of them. You would come across other characters. There'd be just like a little scene at a bridge or something like that that didn't
yeah,
even involve my main guys. It was like,
yeah,
oh,
and it
that must be
was
one of those other people.
yeah, and it's like, oh, I wonder if that's gonna be the bad guy, and it's like, oh no, I wonder if that's the bad guy for somebody else, like the clown dude, the Kefka guy for Kevin.
But the way that they kind of set it up in an interesting way, you kind of have like your main guy, and that main story is like the bookends of
Yeah,
your playthrough, and it affects which bosses you have in certain parts. So we didn't have the same final boss. But my main guy was Duran, and like his whole thing was the Crimson Wizard comes to town, and he has to take revenge on the Crimson Wizard.
yeah. So mine was Hawkeye, and I had to fight the Dark Majesty, and that's kind of his main guy. So Duran, my character, one of my characters too, second guy I chose. He was a mercenary swordsman from Valsina, and his father was lost in battle with the Dragon Emperor. And then he's on guard duty one night, and then the castle gets attacked by the Crimson Wizard. He's basically left for dead
And he's not
and
strong
vows
enough
to
to
kill
fight
him.
him. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
like, oh, I want to fight him, but I can't. He's too powerful. I will get revenge one day. And that's the story of Trials of Mana, as far as I can tell.
yeah,
And then eventually finds the Crimson Wizard, and then the Crimson Wizard turns out to be working for Satan himself, the Dragon Emperor. And then there's a boss switch right at the end after the second to last dungeon, and then in the last dungeon or the Sanctuary of Mana area, you go and you fight the Dragon Emperor and save the day. That was my
yeah.
version of the story.
Um,
How was Hawkeye?
so it's really funny. He's a member of some kind of like revered thieves guild, in the desert fortress of Nevarl. And then Lord Flamakin, basically says that Nerval is now a kingdom, and then Hawkeye confronts him about it. He gets all pissed off, and he finds out he's being controlled by a witch named Isabella, and she kills the guy's son and Hawkeye's friend, and then frames Hawkeye for it, and he has to take off. It's funny because his paired character for the story is actually Rise, and so those two like work together, and they have like a similar storyline. So it's almost like Hawkeye, Kevin, and Duran, they're like kind of the three mains, and then they all have their like paired character, someone who's like associated with them, that kind of works along with them. But Rise is like this. Uh, she's like some fucking Amazonian chick, and it's weird. They're like Amazonian. It's like Wonder Woman and Kane from Final Fantasy IV, basically. That's essentially who she is. Um, and her little side story, since it was part of his, her little brother gets tricked into turning off like the protective barrier around their town and gets kidnapped. And that's who they're. It's weird. It's like they were kind of using him sort of like your sister in Final Fantasy Tactics, where like they're using her body to summon the god. Except for in this one, he doesn't die and get ripped apart like in Tactics or in like Diablo 3.
Okay.
He lives, but that's kind of their connection between those two. So yeah, and in the end, it ends up being the fucking Dark Majesty who turns into fuck, what was his name?
Is it the
It was like,
Archdemon or something?
yeah, the Archdemon. That's what it is. His like true form, boss switchy kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's three main bosses, and we experienced two out of the three, obviously, between us. Kevin's story was interesting because Kevin, I think he loses a pet, and then he has to like get revenge on the pet being lost. It's fucking stupid. It's really like it's such a throwaway little plot line. Of course, that's how I actually kind of feel about most of the story. So, um, you might have to walk us through the mechanics of it because it's like the crystals. There's a fairy, and then there's benevolence, and
Yeah.
that's pretty much where I'm at with the mechanics of the story.
So it starts out, story begins in a bunch of different places depending on which character you chose. Uh, everyone eventually gets their story told, except for apparently Charlotte, who we didn't choose. Um, and we have to seek the advice of the priest of light in the holy city Wendell. We arrive to a city called Jod after the Beastmen have invaded, and those guys take off, and we reveal what is it? What is it?
I don't know. This story is
Or nine.
it's pretty forgettable.
They're like sleeping, and then the fairy I think visits them in the night, and and then we get that cutscene where all the fairies are kind of like flying, and it's apparently from the sanctuary of mana, and the fairy is basically choosing the main character to be her host.
Yeah.
Every time I talked as the fairy, I would do like a muffled voice, like she was up my ass, because the fairy, when she would be done talking, she would just kind of like fly behind you and
Return into your
disappear.
body
Yeah.
somewhere.
So she basically tells you to essentially where you need to go. And you find out that the mana tree is dying and that the sanctuary is in danger. Then you find out from the priest of mana, I think, that, or the priest of light, he tells you that if the tree dies, if the mana tree dies, which the mana tree in this world is essentially like a.
It's like the crystals in FF. That's what it is. It's like balance, right?
Yeah, I think it's more like Yggdrasil. It's kind of like a world tree. And without it's not as dire as that though. I think it is more along the lines of like a balance. But if the tree dies, then the benevolence will reawaken to destroy the world. And this is where it gets kind of Wheel of Time esque to me a little bit, because it's like the Dark One's servants are resurrected from the weakening of the seal on them, and then they are released to like help summon the Dark Lord. I'm like, damn. I mean, they're all weird creatures, but it's fairly similar. And then essentially we need to travel to the sanctuary and draw the sword of mana from the mana tree, and then restore peace to the world.
Right.
And
you have to you have to go to each of like the mana. They're like mana crystals, I think, or mana shards, and you have to get the blessing of all the spirits that protect them, and they join you on your journey. So you get like the fire demon thing, and you get all the different types of magic or whatever that your characters can use. You get them from these like the sylphs or whatever they are, the fairies and the sylphs, and these like magical creatures that protect the world and are going on an adventure with you. And then, of course, you're tricked into summoning the Benevolence.
Yeah.
And so the second half of the game is you fighting those guys off and eventually, of course, saving the world.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is as you're going around collecting the mana stones and getting the blessings of each stone, which, like you said, just like the crystals in FF, as you do that, the sword of mana becomes more and more powerful. And the whole idea was that the Lord of Darkness, like the bad guy, is supposed to get the sword when it's fully powered up. And so you're right, you're kind of tricked into fucking getting it all powered up so that the bad guys can take it.
Yep. And
then I think you have to like, there's like they're gonna kill the fairy unless you give over the sword or something like that. So you're kind of blackmailed into doing it. It's one of those like, don't give it to him, and then you do anyway, and then the world's basically fucked. And that's how they get out. And then yeah, like you said, you have to defeat all of the Benevodons, which is a pretty cool part. It's kind of like go back to the all the dungeons that we visited throughout the game, and
That
then
you
just
can't
run to the
remember where they're
boss.
at.
Exactly. Uh, the map helps because it gives you a little blinking dot, but some of them I'm like, ooh, this is a big area. Like I don't fucking remember where the boss is, and I took forever on the one where you're like on the plains and then you go into those caves. That guy took me so long to fucking find, dude. I was like, fuck, am I even in the right fucking spot? Like, is this map lying to me right now?
That was basically the whole game for me. Am I in the right place? I don't know.
Yeah, it's better than Secret. It's better than Secret as far as letting you know where you need to go, but it's
Navigation, yeah.
still
Once you get the quote unquote airship, once you get the Sylphie or whatever her name is,
flamey.
Flamey, thank you. When you
Yeah.
get Flamey, the dragon, the navigation becomes a little bit easier in the game. You don't have to go find a beach. Like, where's the nearest beach to this place? Fucking God. Because before then you're in a boat. But
Yeah, or you're on
you're
the
on
Craig
the whale
turtle.
boat. Yeah, the turtle. Thank you.
Come on, dude, get on. I gave that guy Craig's voice in my playthrough. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, so the story is kind of like, I don't know. It didn't pull me in at all, obviously, or else I'd remember it more. Except for like the Crimson Wizard part at the beginning and at the end. It was like, okay, that was kind of like my main character's arc, and that's kind of what I paid attention to.
Yeah.
But otherwise, there wasn't that much stuff that like none of the characters were that three-dimensional. So I wasn't really roped in emotionally into the thing. It was just kind of like, go do the next thing to save the thing. And that was kind of my experience. It's just like an old school RPG. Just, I think it kind of lacked essence in the story section as far as characters and stuff are concerned, which is the same thing that the last two games had.
Yeah.
It's just about the same. Like, I can hardly remember anything about Secret of Mana's story except for like the bad line. And in this one, there's a scene where you fight Ludger, and Ludger turns into a baby after.
Oh yeah, I laughed pretty hard at that.
That's the one scene I remember really well because I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? He's turning back into a baby? Oh my God.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. It's like some fucking Benjamin Button shit going on here.
You fight Ludger and it's like you'll be, and then I can't remember why, but the fairy allows him to live by being reborn as a child again. And then the fairy says to your party, it's like, you will have to fight him again one day. And then the baby crawls off into the woods.
Yeah. They're like, it's like, he's going to grow up by himself. I'm like, damn, I don't want to fight that guy. Are you high? As a baby, he's like, fuck this, I'm out. Just crawls into the woods.
Being raised by the wolves of the moon forest.
Yeah, that guy's going to be fucking crazy. God. I don't want anything to do with that. I laughed pretty hard at that scene. That was pretty funny.
I laughed so hard I took a screenshot. Because I couldn't believe it was happening.
Yeah. I think Angry Ass Black Dude was in the chat and he's like, wait, did that guy just turn into a baby? And I was like, yeah. He's like, why? I don't fucking know. I had no idea. They just decided, hey, baby. And then he crawled off into the woods. Like, quality parenting right there. Quality parenting. Just fucking give him the straight, like, deformed baby in ancient Sparta treatment.
So I've just pulled up the line. Luna says, yes, he will grow big and strong and one day come to challenge you again. And he's just a fucking baby in the middle of the fucking screen here. Oh my God.
Yeah. Then the baby just books it into the woods.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. That was the best part of the story. It was the most memorable scene for sure.
Yeah.
The rest of it was just kind of like, RPG story, Go on.
Yeah, I mean, the game, it even doubled down on the, like, ooh, we're going to trick you into doing this. That actually makes us stronger. Because once you kill the Benevodons, it also gives more power to the main enemy, who like our personal guys are working for. So like they become stronger and stronger each time you not only get the blessings of the mana stuff, they also reuse that later every time you beat it to Benevodon. It makes it harder for the final boss, which makes sense to me because the final boss, just like in the last game, is a big fuck you.
Oh,
Like it's
yeah.
crazy hard compared to everything else. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
holy fuck, man. Like I died a couple times to some of the Benevodon guys, but the boss at the end was rough as hell. He was bad.
And we had the
So we
exact
really,
same problem in Secret of Mana with the final boss being like, what the fuck is this?
yeah. The rest of the game was really balanced. It was like a couple levels higher than you, and you'd level up to that level. And it was like, okay,
And
now
there'd
you're
be some
good.
challenge,
And
and
there'd be some there'd be some fucking cave ninjas. The legendary cave ninja 1 inch punch in your ass to fucking
yeah,
pieces.
yeah. Occasionally, the last samurai comes in and slices you into
Yeah.
pieces. You're right. Occasionally that happens. Occasionally Ken Watanabe in his full-on samurai garb comes after you when you're in the Crystal Desert or whatever.
Yeah, and he's so good. He doesn't even use his sword. He just punches you and you die.
Just all
He's a
three of your
punching
guys.
bag.
My favorite
Yeah.
combination is like if there's a robot and a samurai guy in the same screen, get the fuck out of there. Don't even deal with them. Because the robot guys will be like, okay, I'm gonna cast an AOE that'll cut half your health down, and then Ken Watanabe himself will come in and slice and dice right after, and it's just basically a one-shot kill. Like you enter the area and you're dead. Okay, we should probably like
Yeah.
introduce the gameplay a little bit.
Yeah. Before the end,
Okay.
once you kill it, everything's absorbed. The creature becomes a god, and the mana goddess kind of cuts it off, and then your guys get resurrected in the fight because he basically one shots you. And then once you defeat it, you go and you can't stop it from destroying the tree and eliminating mana from the world. But the fairy fuses what's left of the mana tree, and she's reborn as the mana goddess. Apparently, it's going to be in like 1,000 years. But until then, this world is devoid of all mana. So then after the end, we get the classic Final Fantasy World Tour. Everybody goes back home,
Yep.
and their character arcs, complete real nicely. The Hawkeye's dude is like done being, trying to like create an empire, and it's really weird. That one's odd. It's like an honorable group of thieves. Like you'd think that'd be like a pain in everyone's ass, but I don't know, whatever. So everything goes back to normal, and I made a joke at the end where I was like, was as Fairy was fading away, turning into a little like chunk of a tree. She's like, look for the knot in the tree about waist high, Hawkeye. Just winks at you and disappears. It's like,
So the most memorable scene from Secret of Mana is when the guy fucks the tree, or at least refers to it.
yeah.
And then this one is when the guy is turned back into a baby and then crawls into the woods.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a pretty sweet series.
Yeah.
What would you say the most memorable from the first one was? Like the figure eight and the fucking tree in the desert?
Oh,
That's the only
you know
thing.
what? Now that you're bringing that up, that's the most frustrating part. If I didn't have a guide,
Yeah.
which we could talk about guides about fucking this game too, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
So that's pretty much the story. Like you said, it's fairly basic. It seems like they had a lot of things they really wanted to do, but they ran out of space to make each character like.
They couldn't explore it fully, and it's the same with Secret of Mana. It's like there seems to be a lot here that they had to hack down into the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And the bare minimum took away, outside of the main character that you're playing, who kind of has like a main story arc and goal. There's not really much in terms of character motivation or anything like that you would get from like the main series Final Fantasy games during the SNES, which I'm always wondering, like, how did they run out of space for this game but had enough space for FF6? I don't know how this works, but okay.
I wonder if the combat's easier to program or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
for FF6,
maybe because the combat's not like on a separate screen. I have no idea how that stuff works. So
yeah, it's one of those things where it's almost kind of too bad. They were almost too ambitious for the tech. I think that happens all the time, though. I mean, we look at these games that they, like back in the day when you could play Final Fantasy 12 on PC, you could like bootleg it up. Like the actual graphical capacity on the disc is like well beyond what the PS2 could handle. And so I think these companies, these guys are always dealing with being limited by the tech.
Yeah, a lot of
Um,
it, they have to have a game that plays, well, that's not loading forever and it's not lagging. Like that's more
yeah,
important than a lot of things because if your game isn't playing, then you're fucked. So that's what I assume.
yeah,
Like hardware limitations are kind of like the thing that you're butting up against all the time as a developer.
yeah. Because I mean, like you said, if you don't have a functioning game, then nobody gives a shit how good your story is. How like intricate it is, how high the replay value is, because you have 6 different characters to choose from. Doesn't matter if you can't fucking play the thing.
I mean, otherwise the sacrifice is like FF9 where they had to, slow down the gameplay just so that it would work.
Yeah,
Um, and that's kind of to its detriment, FF9's detriment. Um, of course,
yeah,
not necessary on the remake, but you can have that speed up version, which is bullshit on that remake or on the remaster of FF9. But how does this game play, Schweiss? How would you describe it? I described it on Nude Clan as Final Fantasy and Zelda have a baby, and the baby's on easy mode. Uh,
yeah.
that's about how I would describe it.
I mean, you get the top down, same view as pretty much all the uh, RPGs that I've played from this area, or this era, not area. Yeah, it's just kind of like an action game. It is like a Zelda with heavy RPG elements. I think that's a great way to describe it.
It's a Zelda with like a lot more story, and then um, like a more intensive level up system,
Yeah,
and a lot more spells and shit.
yeah, and it's got quite a bit of customization actually, because each so much like the last game, you've got your characters and they level up, and you get to in this one you get to choose which stat you want to increase, which eventually just becomes fuck you. You get health and that's it,
There are
which is
max
really annoying.
stats for the classes.
Yes, which is very frustrating. But I did find out if you select not a stat, you see how you can like highlight stats that it won't let you increase. It actually lets you learn an ability. So like if you want to learn their abilities faster, that's a good way to do it.
I did not know that
Uh,
was a thing.
yeah, I found that out pretty late. Um, so it's interesting because you start out with your base class, right? So it's like Amazon for the for Rise and my party, and Thief, or no, is it Thief for Hawkeye?
Hawkeye is a thief, yeah.
Okay, so Thief for Hawkeye, and then Duran is just like a warrior,
Yep, he's a fighter.
and yeah, fighter, that's what it is. And then depending on which item you're able to find, you can go like a light or a dark path with your character, and it breaks off into different branches for like your class. So your class increase will give you abilities. You'll be able to cast certain spells to like buff your attacks or create a shield around yourself and things like that. And depending on which path you go, your stats will change. And in the end, I think each character has, I think it's got to be 4 different end classes. I haven't actually looked it up, but if you have you can go light, 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 dark, and then dark, dark. So maybe it's just 3. I did all the light ones because I just threw it whenever I found an item that worked. I just fucking pumped it into my character and called it good. But it's like a rare item that you have to find, a rare item drop that you find in game.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah.
On top of that, when you get those classes, they also so you have your regular attack like attack ability, which is like you're mashing the attack button just like a Zelda game.
Mm-hmm.
Although depends on the character whether or not that's an automatic thing or they have to build up some strength before they can hit, might be the most annoying part of the gameplay, and it was the same in Secret of Mana. And then you have your secondary kind of like bigger attack. It's like your combo move that builds up when you get so many hits
Yeah.
on a game screen against enemies. There will be like a bar that fills up, and depending on how many classes you've you've gone up, that bar gets longer and longer, and you're able to do combos at different levels, and those combos just do a lot of damage in comparison to your regular attacks. So
Yeah.
you also get those when you get different versions of those when you class change. And that's kind of the key to the game is those fucking combos. It's just like
Yeah, and
your beat
it's
sticks.
interesting. It's interesting because they have different like you as you level up, you get your initial combo move that you can do, which is like your base combo move, and then once you do your class increase, which you can do at like level 18, I think is what it was. Once you increase that, you can do a tier 2 combo move, and for me, for Hawkeye, that was like he was throwing knives at all the characters on the screen.
Oh, cool.
Is what his
I had a
second one
different one.
was.
Yeah.
What was yours? What did yours do?
He like ran around and like sliced and diced someone up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it became multiple people in my last class.
Oh, nice. So your last class was the multiple attack.
Yeah.
So mine was a single attack the first time. The second time it was throwing knives at everybody, and then the third time was this weird like it was almost like a matador. Fucking, he'd fly up to the boss, like drop a little flower or throw a little flower behind him, and it would like blow up and do a shitload of damage. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I had Dark Hawkeye.
Oh, okay.
And Dark Duran as well.
Oh, nice. That sounds like it does more damage. That's what it sounds like to me.
I read on the old guide that it was the highest damage class in the game. Was Super Duran, Dark Duran. I don't remember. I think it was Duelist. I think was the name of the class in the version we have. But
okay.
Yeah,
that wasn't what I had.
Kevin's also like a sick beast, bruh. Because he does about half damage, but he hits faster.
Yeah,
and I don't
Hawkeye
know why
was my fast guy.
I have no idea. I've said "brah" like 14 times in this recording, and I don't know why I keep on doing it.
It's Kevin. The name Kevin just.
It's Kevin, brah.
Behind you on your counter, there's not only a coffee mug. I'm seeing like a big box of Monster just like come into being slowly. It's your fucking Monster, your Kevin. You're gonna start pounding those things and just crushing the cans on your forehead.
I think it's actually because I haven't had any sleep for the last 4 days.
Maybe that's probably not helping.
It's not helping whatsoever. I quit caffeine and I've gotten less sleep because of it. I don't know why, but anyway. But the game is actually, it plays basically the same as Secret of Mana, just with like less menus.
Yeah.
Which streamlines the game, and I think there's something in the combat that's a little bit less like janky. The game plays a lot smoother.
Yeah, I think it's the hitbox like direction is less bullshit,
and also your characters don't get stuck behind you all the time. They get stuck every once in a while, but not all the time like they did in Secret of Mana.
Yeah, there was one time where my guy got stuck, like, I think it was Duran, got stuck like way off in the distance, and I was fighting one of those fucking tomato guys near the end, and we could not kill him because we just didn't have enough damage with the two of us, so it was just an endless loop of a fight because he was like fucking stuck under some like cliffside or something. I was like, get up here! Get the fuck up here!
I had very little problems in this game, Schweiss. Like, up until I was under-leveled going into the Dragon Maw area, which is the second to last dungeon, and the final boss, which I had to fight 5 times. My party was just a beat stick. So you're talking about the tomato guys, and I don't even remember them.
They're the little.
I bulldozed basically everything in this game up until that last part of it because of my party makeup, because of Kevin and Duran and Hawkeye being my triple team of like, I don't know if the other characters are like this, but I assume not, because other than the other character you picked, they're all mages. So I just went through the game basically like it did with FF1, where it was like the fucking like beat stick party, and you just go through and you plow if you're all fighting classes.
That was an awful idea then, and it's not a great idea now. It worked out for you, but dude, I had to grind because I was getting pounded by my final boss. Like he was rough. Everything else was pretty easy. I did get stuck on like the furnace guy, but here's what happened there. And I didn't realize this until after I had beaten him. So in the last game in Secret of Mana, when you go up to the guys, the equipment vendors, you can buy equipment for all of your teammates with each character. But in Trials of Mana, what happens is every merchant you
That's
find,
probably
they
the worst
only
part of the
have,
game, right here.
yeah, they only have items for your characters. They don't have Charlotte's fucking weapons in there. Everything in there you can use as a party, but not as an individual. So it'll say unable to equip. And so my dumbass was just using Duran, and Duran would have the best stuff, and everyone else for about a quarter of the game had the worst stuff. And I was getting pounded by this boss, and I was like, what the fuck?
It took you that long to figure that out.
Yeah. And then I fucking beat him, and then I looked at it, and I was like, wait a minute, what if I like went to this guy and then went into the shop, and then it's like, oh yeah, you can equip this, and I'm like, what? And then you can buy it still, but you just have to pass it on to the next guy, and I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like the first game didn't do this shit at all. I mean, the first game you were just one person, but the Secret of Mana, that wasn't a thing. You could buy stuff for everybody and equip it right there. But this one, you have to fucking like go through and like, okay, now it's your turn to buy from the merchant. Okay, now it's your turn to buy from the merchant. And then you can check the stats on it and make sure you're buying the best stuff, which is easy because it's just whatever is most expensive. So eventually I got to the point where I was like, hey, give me the best shit you got. And then I would just hand it to the other people. And then I'd have to go into the menu and select each character and then equip everything to that character. So that took me a minute. And after that, the game was fucking easy. But
yeah, the game, as long as you're leveled up to basically where the enemies are around you, then you're going to have like a relatively like just enjoyable time. Like it's enough. Yeah. It's enough of a challenge that it's still like a game and it's enjoyable, but this is a good game to have on the Switch, frankly. It's a good game to just like, let's say you have like a bullshit job like I have, and you could just play around, fuck around at work all day. You could just take the Switch and like just be, hanging back, This isn't, you have to play this on, I mean, it was back in the day, but this isn't one that you're playing on the big screen, This is just a perfect handheld title.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun, and it's not quite the boss rush mode that Secret was near the end, where you just find out which magic works best against the boss and just fucking crush their.
It's because our parties didn't have magic.
That's probably part of
that
it.
Was the thing.
When I got the abilities with Duran to do like elemental attacks, like I would put like elements on my weapons, those bosses became very easy. The Benevodons, and then my like specific boss guy, because you have like it's like a not final boss dude who's like the final deal for
your character.
Yeah,
the Crimson Wizard was who I was fighting against, and you just had to beat him down. He would switch magic all the time, much faster than my final boss did. Crimson Wizard was actually a bit of a pain.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, because Crimson Wizard he was like the second form of my final boss, where like he was still casting magic all the time, but it was fast. And there was like one spell for both the final boss and Crimson Wizard that were just like the obliterator spell. Like your HP needs to be above 600 or else your party's getting wiped. One of your guys needs to be above 600 to resurrect the other two. So that was kind of brutal. I hardly had to use the magic at all because my characters were doing so much damage. And then with my final boss, the Dragon Lord or Dragon Emperor, depending on the version of the game, I found out. Because I had to look up an old guide. I'll get to that in a second. He would switch his magic, but the Dragon Lord, if you switch magic and he switches back to something that's weak to it, he will then start absorbing that type of magic no matter what. Like he's not suddenly, you can't just like switch your So Duran casts a spell on everybody so that they do a little bit of water damage with their attack or something like that. And he's in fire mode, and he's weak to it the first time, but it's only the first time that he'll be weak to it, and then he'll start being healed by stuff in the second form. So,
Oh, geez.
having anybody have anything cast on their sword is actually neutralizing the damage. You couldn't do it. So instead, I had to use Hawkeye's like diversion magic, which I had through Hawkeye stuff, and those were elemental, and they were like one cast things. So he'd be in water mode, and I would cast fire diversion on him. And what fire diversion would do would be to take down his evasion, so I would hit him more. And that was the key to beating the final boss in the end for me, was to take down his evasion using those elemental things. But yeah, elements were hardly any part of my gameplay up until the end. And even then, it was very selective in how it could be used just because of who my final boss was.
Yeah. I started using elements on the Benevodons when I figured out that I only had like 3 or 4 different magics that I could cast on myself. So some of them I had to just beat into submission, but other ones, like I would cast like the ground magic when I was fighting the dragon guy, which was a really cool fight, by the way. You're like you're riding on your dragon, like fighting a fucking flying creature, and it like changes the camera angle and like everything's moving around. It's pretty sweet. It's like the final boss in the last game. But when I was fighting that guy, I was doing like 300-400 damage a hit once I cast the magic that he was weak to, and that was fairly regular when I would do that. But for the final boss, my guy would do like, he would cast not super fast, but often magic that was real magic, and then there was like not real magic. It was weird. So there was like, all of it looked like magic and like it was elemental, but there were some that didn't count as elemental, and they would hit me really hard. But a lot of the ones that he would cast, I had this move called Wall from Hawkeye, and it would reflect magic. And so he would cast it on me, and it would be a triple cast. It would bounce off, and it would do like 150 damage per person that he cast it at. And so the first phase, I could just wipe that way. He has this like Oblivion move, though, that'll just... I can't remember if it's Oblivion or it's one that like is supposed to just kill whoever it attacks, whoever it hits. And that one would do 0 damage and like reflect off. Sadly, it didn't kill him, or that would have been sweet. But that was kind of my thing for the first phase. And then the second phase, he starts like hitting physically. And so I would just have like the absorb HP, a protect spell, and still the reflect thing on, and then like a strength boost, and then I just went to town. And I ended up turning the my AI characters, their limit breaks to the very first phase, because it was taking too long to get to their like max limit break.
I did the same
to
thing.
make it worth the damage.
I did the same thing because of what you were dealing with, and I was like, I switched it to that. I was like, oh, my Kevin guy is doing 400 damage much more often than he is doing 700 or 800 damage every every 10 hits as opposed to like every 4 hits. So it's actually it is faster. You do more damage over time if you make your characters that you're not playing their selection to be their special move much earlier on. Much lower class combo move. Wonderful strategy. Thank you for whoever said that in the chat to you when I was watching Twitch. I was like, okay, locking that away in my brain, and I used it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that was really good. And then just kind of regulating who got to live, because you run out of healing stuff, and then all you have left is your like cup of wishes, which are your Phoenix Downs pretty much, and those will fully resurrect your teammates. And so I was just kind of like bouncing around between who I was going to let die, quote unquote, and then who I would try to keep alive. And in the end, it just came down to rebuffing when he would debuff, and stuff like that. I wasn't able to debuff him, but I was able to buff my character. So that's the difference between light and dark Hawkeye, is you had all the debuff moves, but I had all the buff moves. So I got my guy stronger, but he would always stay the same strength. And it was, I mean, I got on today and I beat him my first try today. Like all I did was like, okay, I'm gonna try to just keep up on the statuses, because he would like constantly level me down and like decrease my stats, and so I would just reboost him back up. And then when I'd res somebody, I try to boost him back up as much as I could, and then go from there. And I was able to win uh, that way. So the combat, like we were talking about earlier, though, the battle system is definitely better than Secret of Mana, but there are a couple of things in it that I don't care for. Um, First off, though, we talk about one big positive that it has. When you do your special move, if it misses, it doesn't take away your special bar. And Secret of
That is
Mana
nice.
totally fucking did that, which was bullshit. Because I would miss all the fucking time in Secret of Mana after doing some god attack, and it would just be like, oh, I'm sorry, Zero, you missed. And then I'd have to rebuild up my anger. And this one, you just fucking go until it hits, which is great. The one thing about this game that's kind of a lie is the action element of it. So this is supposed to be an action RPG, but the problem with it being an action RPG is every once in a while, when I'm like trying to do when I'm trying to do my like special move, it turns into a turn-based RPG because the guys around me are attacking, the boss attacks after his attack animation is done, then I get to do my special move. And the special move has a 0 cast time normally. It's a second you press it, it goes.
It doesn't become a problem until you're in the late game. And then, then when bosses are doing combos and your other characters are doing high level combos and you're trying to get your shit off, you're like, oh my God, like it's frustrating. But
yes,
especially if the boss like decides to use flare at that moment, it just like kills your guys off. Despite the fact that the game gives you an animation that says you have 1 health left.
Yeah.
It's a lie. That's not enough to cast a honeypot on yourself. It's like, well, you can do like a last saving throw on something else, but you can't resurrect or heal one of your guys in that moment.
Yep. And it's like
it is a bizarre, like kind of annoying system. It's not a huge deal, but it is annoying. Yeah.
If you were doing something when you should have died, it won't count. You'll have 1 HP left. You'll do whatever it was, and then you'll fall down dead. Even if the doing whatever it was is like curing yourself, you'll use the item, and then you'll die, and the item's gone, and then the other character will have to do that instead. So, like, I've lost items in, like, clutch moments that could have possibly saved me, and I'm, like, freaking out, like, fuck you. Why do you do this?
On the last boss, I had a moment like that on try number 4, and I was pretty frustrated. I wasted a honeypot. I was just like, no.
You know how many times I actually had 1 HP? Once. There was only one time, and I didn't believe it. I thought the game was just taking forever to kill me. But
there was once I had 2, and I was like, is he gonna die? And it wasn't the case, and I was like, oh my God. So yeah, I had a similar situation. That's funny.
I thought he was. I was like, I kept walking back and forth for a sec because I was waiting for him to die, knowing I wasn't gonna waste a fucking item on him. But then he made it, and I was like, oh, he actually had 1. Amazing. But there's that, and then the other annoyance is you can't switch characters while you're casting. So like I'll be casting a buff with one character, and to me, if I was playing like any other game pretty much, and I wanted to like buff up at the beginning of the fight, you get a bunch of people to buff up at the beginning of the fight, right? But in Trials of Mana, you can't do that. If I want to cast a move with each of my 3 characters, I have to do it in turn. So Hawkeye has to go, then Duran has to go, and then Rise has to go. And each of them had buffs that I wanted on every character. So we're talking like the first minute of the fight or 2 minutes of the fight is just me like going back and forth between the people.
That's a lot of management. That's a lot of
yeah. And the guys won't, I think I set them this way on accident and just didn't change it, but they won't attack the boss unless I'm targeting the boss.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's how I set up the gambit, I think.
It's not that. Your character has to attack something or else the other guys don't even recognize that you're trying to attack.
Okay, so it was
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you set it to. If they're trying to help you, I put them on untargeted enemies so that every guy would like go and try to, spread out and like take down everybody really quickly, which I thought was a good strategy. Because you can kind of set up, it's like a gambit. It's a really simple gambit system for the game.
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter. Your main guy has to swing at someone. So
Well, that's good to know. I thought maybe it was because I didn't set him properly, but if
nah,
it's
that's just what it is in the game. It's
yeah, so that's kind of annoying and kind of clunky.
it's annoying when you just resurrected all your guys and you're in the final boss moment and you didn't select that you're not started to attack the final boss and you're like, fuck, I lost some time there.
Yeah.
That was frustrating. That was a little frustrating thing. So all the frustrations in the game, all the flaws in the gameplay come out near the end.
Yeah. Yep.
That's when it matters. Otherwise, I didn't even have a problem with it. I really like the gameplay of this game. Just overall, I had a good time. Like I thought it was a fun game. I don't think it was like an in-depth story, obviously, for one of these old school RPGs. I always like to be kind of pulled into those things if it's possible, but it wasn't like that. But I just had fun. Like I didn't mind like picking up this game and playing it. Sometimes I hate grinding. Wasn't the case with this game. Even though the experience in the last few levels is kind of a pain. It's like level 55
Yeah.
to 60, which is kind of where you want to be for that final fight. I ended up just being level 55 and just tried the boss fight over and over again. But yeah, I had a good time just overall, and I think it takes every game has improved in gameplay, and this is no exception as far as this trilogy of Mana games is concerned. I believe the Mana series changes a lot from now on, like it turns into something else. But as far as like these three interrelated main series Mana games are concerned, I think this is the best one in terms of gameplay.
Yeah, I think all those problems aside, I would agree. And some of those problems the last game didn't have. Like I was able to cast stuff all at the same time. I think it just had instant cast times in Secret, though. It didn't have like a cast timer. Like you would just cast and cast and cast and cast and cast. So maybe we didn't notice it. But all of the flaws in this one, the turn-based bullshit and the fucking casting aside, this is a better game to play, I would say, than Secret of Mana. It's smoother. I think the gameplay is a little more in depth. Yeah, less bugs.
I think it's less in depth. I think it's simpler. There were like less.
You think so?
Yeah, because I remember there were like 3 different menus you had to go through for different spell types in Secret, and
that's true.
It was just the item menu and the character specific spell menu, and that was it.
Yeah,
it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
I mean,
wonderfully simple.
They upped the complexity with the class system though, for sure, which I liked.
And
I liked
even more
the
in the remake. Apparently, after you finish the game, there's like post-game stuff in the remake, and there's another class change you can have.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, I say as if I didn't, know because I was looking at a guide for the remake, because guides for the original game are non-existent largely.
For you people who get like pissed at people looking at guides, this is what I use a guide for in RPGs when I get lost.
Yeah.
Or when I'm stuck.
And it's hard to use a guide when you're lost or stuck when the fucking town names are different in the remake, and the only guides you can find in the remake. Like, I don't know where this is.
The remake.
The town isn't on there.
The remake names are all the same. It's the original Second Densetsu 3 fan translation that was very popular that people had made guides for.
Oh, okay.
The only town name that is the same is Jad. It's the only fucking town name that's the same. So when you're like, I'm lost, I don't know where to go. I also had to like find a Second Densetsu 3 world map. Because no one has made a guide for the collection of mana, Trials of Mana. No one. So if you're lost in this game, which I was about half a dozen times, then I kind of had to look at the guide for the remake to get a feel for where I'm supposed to go. And then like sometimes I had to go into the Second Densetsu 3 kind of like and try to figure out like where the fuck I was in that guide. And like finding strategies for the final boss was completely useless because the remake looks like it changed some shit around. So so I had to find out like what I was fighting against in the original Second Densetsu 3. In the original North American, fan translated version.
Yes.
So that was a pain. That was a pain in the ass. That was probably the biggest pain in the ass. So what was your final gameplay time? I got mine. You ready
Man,
for it?
I almost don't even want to talk about it.
You ready?
Yeah, what's yours?
21 hours, 3 minutes, and 5 seconds is the last save.
Oh, that's not as bad. Mine was 28 hours, 29 minutes, and 37
I knew it
seconds.
was going to be way longer. Oh,
I was thinking 10 plus hours though, because when you were like, "Oh, I'm here and I'm at 16 hours," I was like, "What? What the fuck, dude? 16 hours was like 6 hours ago. What are
and
you fucking doing?"
outside of the fact that my guys didn't have like a really good way to heal themselves magically at the final like couple bosses, my party was pretty great. Like it was a pretty good beat
Yeah,
stick party. Yeah.
I think mine wasn't beat stick enough. That third character, Rise, she just wasn't as strong. She had some really great magic, but like she was kind of like in the middle, you know. Like if I wanted to go magic, I should have picked someone else. But if I wanted to go beat stick, I should have grabbed someone else
And
too.
you could have
So
looked and saw what all the different classes do. And I think there is a
yeah,
way in the game to revert class type, but I'm not sure how to do it.
yeah. I don't regret it though. I was like, I could beat this game. I'm sure. I'm just gonna have to grind a little more.
Yeah.
You know.
And there's like stats you can't see that get boosted when you grind, from what I
Yeah,
was reading in forum posts. But
yeah,
I
yeah. I
have
could
no
tell
way of
that too.
confirming that.
I got to level 59 with each character. So
Okay.
that was a big part of it. And I only looked at the guide probably like 5 times. I really tried to not
I look at
for this.
guides too, and I look at like the kind of table of contents, and I see where I am in the game. That kind of tells me
That's the
like,
biggest. Yeah,
okay, I need to
that's the
get to
biggest
this
reason.
area by this day so that we can record the review. Like
Yeah, so
that's
that we
important.
can fail the timeline that we set up doing
That's
that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're 5 days late. It's not too
Yeah.
bad.
I mean, you did get pissed. And I was like laughing so hard that day because Joe came on the stream. He was at work playing. And he was like, "Oh, I'm level grinding." I was like, "Oh, cool. How many levels you got?" He's like, "Oh, I got two." And then you run into the fucking room in the caves and you get ninja fucked instantly and you die and you're like raging in the chat and I'm just laughing my ass off because I that happened to me too.
I've
There was
lost
one point.
4 total levels
That's a
between.
lot too. That's a
Yeah,
lot of shit.
yeah, it's a fucking lot. This game takes a while to level up. I
Yeah.
leveled up twice, didn't quite get to a save point because I had like a rotation in the map, and I was like, I'll do this, then I'll get down to this room, and then I'll save, and then I'll go back and revert. Like that
Yeah,
was my
yeah,
level up process. And I had leveled up twice, and I was like one room away or something like that. And like turns out, like the combo I said earlier, robot and samurai, bad combination.
yeah,
They'll fuck you. God.
yeah, dude. I walked into a room, and the second I walked in, the samurai did the like beat move, and all of my guys died. Like the second I walked in, and I'm not using save states either. That's another thing I didn't do this whole game. I only use the actual saves. I think that's part of another reason why my save time's a little longer.
Yeah, no shit. Should have used
But
save points, save states.
I
They're
know, I
part
know.
of
I
the
just wanted to
Switch.
I wanted to play it in its original format. Is what I wanted.
Okay.
But I paid the price. It's 7 hours of my life. But yeah, I was almost back, and I just walked into the room, and the second I walked in, it was just bam, 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 and then everyone flies back, and they're all dead, and I was like, what? Like, what the fuck? I just came in here. Like, I just peeked my head in the door, and they fucking cut my head off. It reminded me of the stream, like one of the greatest stream moments I've ever seen with you, when you were at my house streaming Final Fantasy X-2 Last Mission, and I was at work watching, and you like walk right towards the little door that like gets you to the next level, and the floor collapses out from under you, and you just like you scream, "Oh!" But my fucking screen like froze because my internet at work was so shitty, and it's just you like with your mouth wide open, just freaking out. That was that moment for me. I was just like, I was so close, and then it just fucking shut down.
Someone
It's
has to
so
go
fucking
through.
bullshit.
Someone has to go through our YouTube channel, find the moment when you scared the shit out of me during the 9-hour Dirge of Cerberus stream.
Oh yeah,
Remember you
yeah.
jumped out from behind the couch, you fuck?
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, I was watching you at work, and like I got off and I noticed you were in the bathroom, so I like tore ass to get home as fast as I possibly could, and then just hid. Just scared the crap out of you.
Oh my god.
Good times, man. But yeah, that fucking those ninjas, it's so wrong. Like it's borderline Parasite Eve 2 level of like ninja fuckery in this
They're
thing.
not ninjas. They're samurai, Schweiss. They're samurai.
I think the ones in Parasite Eve were ninjas.
Yeah.
So all right, fair.
All right.
Fair. They were invisible, so I would assume so. Fuck, dude. It's just so unfair. And like you're never ready for it either. You just fucking walk in and it's just this, they snap a finger and you guys just die. But yeah. Anyway, like I said, gameplay definitely an improvement over the last one. I do see how, I don't know, I think the series is getting better and better, and I'm wondering when the series is going to drop off because it's supposed to get kind of shitty later on.
Okay, we need to switch our batteries out. Real quick.
How's the stream going?
It's going good. Dead Islander says, "What's up?"
Yeah, early 2000s, late 90s shit. What's up, man? Finally reviewing that fucking game. That's what's up.
All right.
Oh,
Just
man.
go straight into music and design, music and art. Unless there's something else you want to say about the gameplay.
No, I think I'm good on gameplay.
Okay. Are you good to start?
Oh wait, I'm gonna say one more thing about gameplay.
Okay. Well,
I remembered
let
something.
me do a countdown and then we do 1, 2, 3, clap. I need
Okay.
to bring it up again. So press record now. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
All right, so real quick before we move on to sound and design, another cool thing that this game had was a calendar. There was like a week, a day of the week system that they had in
What
here.
did that even do?
There was one day, it was like Mana Day, I think, where you would get like free lodging at the fucking inn.
Oh.
And then apparently certain events will only happen during times of day, which is another
Oh wow.
element of it. Like it turned into night after a while, and like there were a few parts in the main story where you couldn't continue if it changed to night because you couldn't see the part of the map that you needed to see, even if you knew where it was. Like you had to follow it. It was like a Legend of Zelda, that one little forest area where you have to walk out at a certain pattern to actually go where you need to go. It was kind of like that, where if you couldn't see it, even if you knew where to go, it wouldn't let you go.
Really?
So it was kind of cool.
Okay. I didn't even know. Like, it would just tell me what day it was, and I was like, okay, what does that have to do with me? And I just kept playing.
Yeah, and then there's that black market thing that you could buy items from at night.
That's true.
I can't remember
that
what
was
town
the
it
one
was.
area, but I also didn't know if I needed to utilize any of those items. I was never sure. Like, if I got really stuck on the final boss, I would have looked into that, but I never used that area too much.
Yeah, I only bought. I think that's where I bought the Midge mallet, just like the mini item. Yeah, you'll also run into different enemies, and apparently Kevin turns into a werewolf at night, and he gets super beefy.
Oh yeah,
which is kind of cool.
I didn't know that was at night. I just thought he did that randomly.
Yeah, I know. Well, half the game we're in caves, so I don't even know how.
He would just sometimes he would just be like, "Rah," and then we'd be doing like 200 damage a hit.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. Kevin was a pretty great. I mean, his story is fucking dumb as shit.
Yeah.
And his name is fucking dumb as shit. But he's a great guy to have in your party.
He's a good guy.
Kevin's a good guy.
He's got a good heart. Okay?
He's a little hairy, you know. And it's weird that a dog has a dog, and he's missing his dog.
Yeah, you know, I've been thinking about that a lot, like with like Mickey Mouse. You know, he's got a dog, Pluto, but then he's got a best friend who's a dog. Because Goofy's a dog. Goofy's a hound dog.
I thought Goofy owned Pluto.
No, I think it's Mickey, isn't it?
I thought it was Goofy. I don't know. Fuck, dude, I don't know. It's been
So now I'm wondering, is Pluto like their retarded friend that they like couldn't, like he got, like, him and Mickey were out were young kids, and Mickey did something that accidentally he like dropped Pluto as a baby or something like that.
Jesus
Pluto's
Christ.
parents died.
Oh my god.
And instead of getting rid of Pluto, he just decided that Pluto's his dog now. It's like a weird mix of love and actual cruelty.
What if, like, I don't know. I have some nieces that would, like, there was a couple of years there where they would just pretend they were a cat. Maybe that's what Pluto's doing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, maybe, yeah.
Maybe a little, like, mentally delayed, and he just.
Who could say, or
Who
to
could
bring it back to
say?
Final Fantasy, transspecial. He identifies as a dog, but really he's something else. I don't know what else he'd be. Just another mouse. I don't know.
I'm not gonna.
I've been thinking about that a lot lately, though. Which is a weird thought, but
Deep thoughts.
yeah, yeah. That's what happens when Mickey Mouse Playhouse is fucking rolling all the time over here. Let's think about these things.
That would do it.
Sound and design, though.
Sound and art and graphics. Sound for the game is pretty good, standard SNES. I don't know who did the music on this one, if it was the same as the last game.
It's Hiroki Kikuta. Hiroki worked on Romancing Saga, Secret of Mana, Trials of Mana.
Okay, so
those are the big ones.
So it's Secret of Mana, same composer. Seems a lot less proggy than Secret of Mana's soundtrack. Secret of Mana's soundtrack was really, I think we talked about it when we did the Secret of Mana episode. It was really experimental and different and weird, and like the whale sounds and shit when you go into the game, and really kind of memorable. And this game was definitely more standard RPG fare, which I was surprised by. I'm more surprised to hear that it's the same person who worked on it because of that. Because this was, I think the music was fine. I thought the Dragon Maw music was pretty cool. And that was really the only area that stood out to me. Because otherwise I was just kind of going through the game, going through the motions. I think the Final Fantasy Adventure soundtrack is a beautiful melodic piece of work. And Secret of Mana is a wonderfully strange soundtrack. And this one, I think what you said at the beginning of the show is right. I think this is the only area where it doesn't exceed Secret of Mana's quality.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not a slight against this game's soundtrack either, because Secret of Mana soundtrack is really good. This one I think is also, I think it's fairly strong, and there were a lot of tracks that I actually enjoyed quite a bit. That we didn't get the super epic, like, final boss, like, flying through the sky track that we did in the last game. That was like, oh man, this is like Terra level. This is like Terra's theme level of fucking awesome. I didn't have any in this one that were quite up to that standard, but I think this is a pretty damn good soundtrack. I kind of agree, though. It is weird. This one, the guy I think he kind of toned it down too, where it's not nearly as, like you said earlier, experimental. Yeah.
It's definitely more standard fare. It's more kind of like standard melodic instrumentation on an RPG soundtrack. Sometimes there's like a lot of drumming and stuff like that, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. We're talking more like Beatles now instead of like the Doors. It's not like it's not as crazy. Like, it's still really good.
It's less
experimental. Exactly. Yeah. And I think this is a really good soundtrack, though. Still,
I think it's fine. I played with the music on. Like, sometimes I don't with these games. I do sometimes, always, so that I could say something about the music. But this one I did play with the music on the whole time, and none of the tracks really stood out to me until I got to Dragon Maw. It's not that I have to think every track is cool, but usually I have some thoughts about it. And this one, that they just went in one ear and out the other, for the most part. So and Secret of Mana was not the same way. Sometimes I was like really weirded out by Secret of Mana soundtrack. So that's kind of a different comparison. Maybe he was told to tone it down. Probably was actually. It's like, make something less weird, please. So that is kind of the only area where, yeah, once again, it's not quite to the same level as the other two games in the series.
Yeah, I would agree. I still think it's pretty good. I wish I would have, and something I've tried to do for these reviews is go back and listen to the soundtrack in completion again. But the nature of today's episode really doesn't make that possible because I beat the game and then Joe's like, I'm awake, let's do this.
Yeah, I'm awake at a weird time. It's like 4 hours before you had to go to work. I'm awake, so that was the difference.
Which does not happen.
No.
But other than that, yeah, I do think it's a good soundtrack. I think I definitely like it more than the first game, Final Fantasy Adventures. But I think Secret of Mana had something. There's just something about Secret of Mana as a game almost that just like it's still, even though it's got
very unique.
Yeah, even though it's like kind of clunky in numerous ways, and this game fixes it, like yeah, even down to the soundtrack, there's something about that game that's just, I don't know, it's like just classic to me. Like it's just such a it's so different. And this one, the soundtrack is definitely less different. It's more of an RPG soundtrack. You know, it's more of the stuff that we would call, it's like the non-Nobuo Uematsu Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
A lot of it's more atmospheric. It's less like in your face, like bombastic in its nature, and way less experimental. But I still think it was good. So
yeah. And the art and graphics, I think it's a step up from Secret of Mana. I think the level design is also a little better because your characters aren't getting stuck all the time.
Yeah, we got a ghost ship level. That's like required.
Ship level. I think the colors and everything look great on the Switch. I don't know if they enhanced the graphics at all, but I think it looks, as a 2D SNES game, late game, like it stands up graphically with FF6, and I think surpasses Secret of Mana by just a little bit, and I think it's a beautiful looking game.
Yeah, for sure. I love the way it looks, and I'm glad we didn't play the remake because the remake, I don't know, it just looks
a remake of a.
Yeah.
Why do they do remakes that way? I want them to do remakes like they did with FF4, with the remake we got on the PSP with the complete edition. Like it's still 2D and it's still the same game. They just like fixed some bugs about it and they, made it more high def, and it still looks great. And it's still based in the old style of the game. I really wish they would do that more often. Yeah, the remakes don't really interest me on these three games. These Mana games, they don't interest me at all. We are getting a remaster, I believe, of Legend of Mana, which is our next game, but we are playing the original version.
Yeah. And I just feel like the remake kind of takes something out of what the game was. It's always kind of felt that way to me. Like there's something about what makes the game that you have to experience in kind of its old format to really understand why it is the way it is. And I think the Switch port is a great fucking port for this game, and it looks fantastic. Like I felt that way about Secret too, but I think this one looks even better. And I definitely agree about the areas. Like the areas were way cool, like the volcano and the snow area, and the fucking even just the forest, like the fact that it got dark and certain different creatures.
The moon forest area I thought was probably the coolest part of the game. In terms of the design, it's really unique, really cool. I want to go on a little tangent here. Someone's asking about the remake of the first game on Game Boy Advance, that it's a straight up enhancement. That's not true. The gameplay time of the original game versus the remake Dawn of Mana is twice as long. Dawn of Mana is an expanded version of the first game. It's not a complete 1-to-1 remake. We looked that shit up when we did the first episode on this series.
Well, Dawn is the PS2 one though.
Sorry, whatever it is. Blank of Mana, the Game Boy Advance version of the first game remake.
Yeah, we did look up the how long to beat times, and that one was like
sort of
fucking way high.
Yeah,
it was way higher.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be not as good. From what from people who played both versions. So we played the original one.
do we want to play the original that's shorter or the really long one that
Yeah,
no one likes
and
as
that was
much?
the real choice. It's like
Yeah.
this game's 15 hours, this game's 30. Like, not a straight remake if that's the case, not at all.
Yeah, it can't be.
They
I mean,
cannot be. But yeah, so Schweiss, we should have at least one review and some questions. I don't know if anybody. I asked people on Discord like an hour ago to ask them some stuff, and no one has, unfortunately.
all right.
But
You want to do the review or the questions first?
I need you to do both because I can't pull shit up on my computer screen.
All right. I'll fire up the questions then. So this is from Brulo, who watched the stream and also played along for the most part. I'm not sure if he's done yet, but find out. First question: if not already discussed, how would this soundtrack rank in the FF series as a whole?
Mid tier for me. You seem to be more positive about it.
Yeah, I'd probably say like probably upper mid tier. I don't think it compares to like the classics like 6 or 7 or 10 or 9 or
and
most of the FFs.
And Schweiss and I's are kind of reversed on which Mana soundtrack we like the best out of these three. My favorite is Final Fantasy Adventure. I love that soundtrack and would put it in the top 5. Secret of Mana, I'd put it upper middle tier. I think it's really great that it is so experimental, but I wouldn't put it on in the background personally. It's just a little bit too avant-garde for me to like hum along. And then this one's more hummable, but it's more boring. Like it's less interesting.
Yeah.
So it's a little lower on that end for me.
That's fair. How did you feel about being tied to one weapon / attack style for each character as opposed to swapping weapons in Secret of Mana? I kind of liked it more in this one. Honestly, I think I don't know, I can see it being preferred either way, but I think this game's battle system and overall like combat system is better, so I liked it more.
I like the simplification of the battle system. It took what Secret of Mana did and made it more streamlined, and so I prefer it this way.
Yeah. Number 3, magic being locked behind a character class change with no way to unlock if you went 100% physical, good or bad. Bad. It's a pain in the ass.
You got 3 different characters you have, and I had only beat sticks, and I was able to beat the game, so I was fine with it. Might make it a little bit more challenging, but then again, it might have made the rest of the game easier because I was just plowing through normal enemies, except for Ken Watanabe.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise is the last samurai coming up and chopping me into bits in one particular area. But other than that, like, I don't know. I think the game. I think they knew what they were doing, and they made it beatable no matter what party you had.
Yeah, I agree. Some of them might take a little longer, but you could do it either way. How ridiculous is the name Benevodon? It's pretty hardcore.
Very. I the first time I read the first few times I read the word Benevodon, I didn't like sound it out in my head. Like my eyes, because I don't know. I'm a speed reader. Like I don't unless I'm really into like what I'm reading. I don't really like. I don't like try to figure out every word of a thing. So when I was reading Benevodon, I just went like, okay, and then like just like I'm fighting I'm going after the and then we were talking to the chat, me and Schweiss. I don't remember if it was like an audio chat or something like that. I called it the Benevodon. And then that eventually turned into a joke because it became Benevahaha, and then that became a Disturbed reference.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've been on a Disturbed kick for the last week.
I was listening to Disturbed because of this fucking game, because of Benevahaha. Like it sounds like,
yeah.
What is it, the beginning of Asylum and
Inside the Fire. Yeah.
Yeah, or he does like his weird little laugh. That's what it sounds like to me. Benevahaha. So, yeah, we've been having a good time with that fucking name.
Yeah.
Benevodon. There you go.
Meta, no Final Fanta. I started coming up with some lyrics, but I didn't have time. It's fun though. Yeah, we've been fucking around with that for like weeks.
Yeah.
Also, just all around the names of the NPC and towns in this game. The towns were okay. They're kind of weird, but the Kevin one was the
Kevin is
weirdest
the
one.
worst name in the game. Kevin is
Everyone
the
else,
thing that does not fit. One of these things is not like the other. Kevin.
yeah, everything else was kind of like they put in like an archetype name and then they forgot to remove it. You know, you got like the Priest of Light, and they're like, oh shit, that guy was supposed to be Anthony, but I guess we're just gonna go with Priest of Light because we forgot to
I forgot to change
delete
his
it.
name. Yeah.
Yeah, there was like a
Forgot to
fucking
do a
template.
second draft of the.
There was like an email template with all the names, and you forgot to put in the actual name. You just put in like the generalized description of the person.
They kept the name Flammy. That might have been the worst thing they did.
Yeah,
Flammy. Fucking stupid name.
yeah. I forgot what Flammy was, and I was like, "How the fuck do I get off this island?" I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then I looked. I was like, "Oh, that's right, it's the dragon." I forgot about that guy.
Yeah.
Would you replay the other version of this game from the one you played, SNES/remake?
I'm not interested in it.
I might one day for like trophies, but I don't know. As I said that, I was like, yeah, probably not gonna ever do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. This version of it is just really good. So
It's really good.
I don't know.
The next one has like, markers and treasure chests, and it's like, I don't know, they filled it out in a weird way that doesn't seem like the game I played. So
Yeah,
it might be fine, but I thought this was a great version of the game, and it was kind of hidden away from all of us. So we might as well enjoy it since we couldn't have it for years. You know,
exactly. It says Vuskov, one of the most unique boats to ever grace a game. Yeah, the big turtle
the
guy.
turtle. We had a whale last time.
Yeah, whale is pretty cool. Did you find the constant revisiting of previous areas annoying and or boring?
A little bit. I will say.
Yeah, it got kind of repetitive, but at least you kind of knew where to go. I mean, that was nice.
Nah, sometimes I get lost again. Yeah, that was frustrating. And there's of course no maps because this game is forgotten. This version of this game. And second Dead Cessna 3, no one had fucking fan maps either. Like no one had like little
Yeah,
bit maps where I could be like, okay, how the fuck do I get out of here? I
yeah,
just I
exactly.
just had to be in there for a while.
Um, all right, so we're gonna get to his review. He says, "Hi guys, thought I'd shoot over a quick review as I played this alongside you guys. Overall, I think this game improved on a lot of the mechanics from Sword of Mana or Secret of Mana and Final Fantasy Adventure. However, some of the new mechanics left me frustrated or wanting more. Whereas I picked up the combat in Secret of Mana for near every weapon instantly, I felt it took a few hours to not be constantly button mashing in this one due to the lack of ATB on screen, despite it being a background mechanic for attacking. After a while, I was able to do better and feel when my characters were ready to attack, yet it still felt that urge to start frantic button mashing in the late game when things on screen became the jumbled mess they often did. This game is meant for the player who wants to replay it many times and experience every story arc, or even like 50 times to experience more permutations of class change. That isn't how I played, nor want to experience this game. The character and class locking at the beginning slash throughout the game is somewhat annoying when I consider the game holistically. Free character swapping throughout the game could have been a better option with the story mode tied to the main hero you chose. The grind in this game is far too brutal by modern standards. God forbid you didn't stock up on max candy, chocolates, cup of wishes, and honey elixir
You
before
learned your
venturing
lesson.
three
Come on.
screens. Before venturing 3 screens from a town. The music in this game was by far the best aspect of the game. It's probably better than half the mainline FF games. I'll never play this game again, but I'm glad I got to experience the legend that is Seiken Densetsu 3, especially in a non-fan translator slash emulator fashion. Rankings would be Secret of Mana, Trials of Mana, FF Adventure, Brulo.
Okay. Well, we can get to our rankings right now. Schweiss, where would you rank this game in the Mana series so far? We have 4 more games in the series, by the way.
I guess the legacy of this we kind of touched on earlier, but it's kind of forgotten because it wasn't. You can't forget what you never learned, right?
It was like a popular fan translated game of a game that's supposed to be a big classic over there. in Japan.
True. That's really all we got, though. It's weird. I'm glad it wasn't the bullshit Type Zero where it's like this lie. It's this big Japanese trick. They're like, oh, Type Zero's the one. That's the one that's so good. It's so fucking pure. And then it comes over here and it's a big pile of steaming shit. This is fucking awful. They're like, this is their best, really?
Yeah, it's mediocre. I wouldn't say it's a steaming pile of shit, but
no, it's just mediocre.
I think I was the more negative one on that review, so it's funny to hear you say that. But go ahead. Sorry.
I am gonna put Final Fantasy Adventure at the bottom, followed by Secret of Mana, very slimly beaten out by Trials of Mana. I think Trials is better overall in every way except for soundtrack than its predecessor, and I think it was a great game to play, and I'm glad I did. It was a good time. I had a lot of fun playing this thing. I really did. As much as I love Final Fantasy, it is nice to get a kind of change of pace, and this parallel series, we'll call it, has been a nice, refreshing change from a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, so my ranking is the same. Trials of Mana is the best in the series. Secret of Mana so far, and then followed by Secret of Mana, great classic, and then FF Adventure. It's a fine game with a fantastic fucking soundtrack. I like these games overall so far. I have heard some negative things about Legend of Mana now that I have Googled it a little bit. But that is our next game, guys. Join us for that. You can follow us. You can follow me at Joseph Vigoli on Twitter.
Me at UFF Podcast.
Please join our Discord. The links for the Discord channel is on both of our Twitter handles as a pinned tweet. And join the discussion there. We have a Facebook page if you want to find that. And we have a YouTube channel that we are trying to update just a little bit. And if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel, that'd be great. Just search Ultimate Final Fantasy and you'll find us. So anyways, guys, Twice has to go to work, so we're going to wrap this up right now. We'll see you next time.
As always, guys, enjoy the grind.
Okay, man.
Woo!
We did it. Legend of Mana. Yeah. Starting it tonight.
Wait. But what about what I discovered earlier today? What about the truth?
What, you want me to just fucking wait a month before even starting the next game? Is that what you want me
to do? The face of God was revealed to us, and it was not pretty. It was Dawn of Mana all along.
Okay. Well, there's nothing I can do about that, Aldwin. They'll find it. We're supposed to have all of our links in our description on our episodes anyway. No, let's just go in fucking release order.
All right. I mean,
it's not that clear when you're playing these games. Like Trials was a prequel to fucking Secret, and it's just like, as far as I could tell, it's just like in a mana world where a tree exists, a story happens, and that's their connection. So,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is listed as a fucking spinoff. You want to do that though? Because I can. I don't mind doing.
Yeah, let's just go in release order because I have the game. I don't have the other game. I don't own it at all, and my PS2 is in a garage.
If we did release order before, though, we would have done 10-2 before 12.
Shut up. This is the Mana series. We're not on the Final Fantasy series anymore. We're not trying to spread out the good reviews like the good games anymore. We're just playing these as they go along.
All right.
I don't know anything about these fucking Mana games until I play them.
All right, as long as we can separate the story arc and say this is a spinoff.
No.
Then we're good. All right, I gotta go. I uploaded those files. It's just Zoom 24 and 25.
Okay, sounds good.
So you can put that out whenever you get time.
All right, sounds good. Guys, thank you for joining the stream. Thank you, Aldwin, JT, Amerline, Dead Islander. Thanks for joining. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.